From a delusional teen who wanted to fight the audience,
Catch me outside, how about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside, how about that?
Catch you outside?
to a girl convinced she was pregnant with baby Jesus.
There is no what if. I am pregnant. And it is Jesus. I'm 9 months pregnant.
These are the most delusional Dr. Phil guests ever, starting with the 13-year-old who turned one sassy phrase into millions of dollars and internet fame. Danielle Bregoli, better known as the Cash Me Outside girl, is probably the most famous guest to ever be featured on Dr. Phil. She was only 13 years old when she went on the show, but she acted way older than her age.
Prosecute you to the full extent of the law.
Then I do my time in jail. Jail ain't nothing. That's what I always do, and they never catch me. Ain't nobody gonna catch me.
Because you're too streetwise?
Yup. And all these hoes laughing like something funny.
She didn't seem scared of anyone. She threatened the audience, argued with the host, and acted very defiant. Then she said the line that made her famous, "Cash me outside, how about that?" Almost instantly, people all over the internet were repeating it. It became a huge meme and made her a household name.
The hoes are laughing?
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
Yeah. Catch me outside, how about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside, how about that?
Catch you outside?
On the show, Danielle acted like she was tougher than everyone else in the room. She didn't follow the rules and didn't seem to care what anyone thought. She argued, laughed at people, and acted very confrontational. Some people were shocked, some were entertained, and some worried about her behavior. She seemed like the kind of guest who didn't really understand the consequences of her actions. In many ways, she was the perfect example of a delusional guest on daytime TV, someone who thinks they are untouchable even when everyone around them is trying to help. After the show, Danielle turned her viral fame into a music career. She now performs as Bad Baby and has released several songs and albums. Her career shows how someone can use attention, even negative attention, to build a brand and make money. People still talk about her old Dr. Phil episode, and memes about her line are still popular. Danielle's story is interesting because it shows how a short TV appearance can change someone's life. She went from being a defiant teenager on television to a young celebrity and rapper. One person said, Dr. Phil talked about this during his interview with Joe Rogan and offered some interesting details about the girl, her mother, and their relationship. TLDR, they're both textbook narcissists who play off each other. Another wrote, it's kind of spectacular that she was able to build a career on people hating her for something she said on Dr. Phil when she was 13. She really took no bad publicity to a new level. But teenage attitude was nothing compared to this girl's shocking claim about her pregnancy. Another one of the most talked about guests on Dr. Phil was a teenage girl who came on the show claiming something truly unbelievable. She insisted that she was pregnant with Jesus Christ. Yes, you read that right. She believed she was carrying the second coming of Christ inside her. Her story went viral almost immediately, and people all over the internet were both shocked and amazed by what she said.
I'm sick of it, Haley.
Why you're scared because you can't cry out to Jesus.
Quit yelling at of mom's face.
Get out of my face with your phone.
Get out of mom's face.
Get out of my face.
When she appeared on the show, she was completely convinced she was telling the truth. She refused to take any medical tests that could prove otherwise and insisted that no doctor could understand her situation. She swore up and down that this was real, that it wasn't a lie or a prank, and that God had chosen her for this miraculous event. Her confidence and determination were both strange and fascinating to watch.
A week or two later, I felt something in my stomach go doom, and I was like, I'm pregnant.
And later, you see Eminem and your father?
She knows who her dad is.
Oh my gosh, there he is, yeah.
The audience and Dr. Phil himself were stunned. Many people in the studio tried to reason with her, but she wouldn't listen. She was certain that science and medicine couldn't explain what was happening to her. She truly believed that the second coming of Christ was inside her body.
On the right-hand side up there, again, you can see the head of the baby, you can see the body of the baby, but in your ultrasound, there's no baby.
Well, Dr. Stork, she says that she is 9 days away from delivery, which is
Her story was so outlandish that it quickly became an internet sensation, with clips of her interview being shared millions of times. Memes, tweets, and even jokes about her claims spread across social media, cementing her place as one of the most bizarre guests in daytime TV history. What made this episode so memorable was the girl's total belief in her own story. She wasn't trying to get attention, at least not in the way most viral stars do. She genuinely thought her claim was real, and that made her both a tragic and fascinating figure. People couldn't look away because it was a mix of faith, delusion, and teenage conviction all rolled into one. Her appearance on Dr. Phil is a perfect example of the kind of extreme and unbelievable guests the show sometimes attracts. It shows how reality television can capture moments that are equal parts shocking and fascinating. One person said, "I'm so proud of the audience for being so respectful during this whole show. It's easy to laugh at mental illness. Mental illness is devastating to the person and their life. I truly hope this girl gets the help she needs." Another said, "She does know she can want a baby bad enough you can give yourself false pregnancy symptoms." Speaking of unbelievable stories, one man calmly insisted he wasn't even human anymore. One of the strangest guests on Dr. Phil was a man who believed he wasn't fully human. From the moment he appeared on stage, it was clear that this was going to be a very unusual interview. He calmly told the audience and Dr. Phil that he was actually a cyborg, a half-human, half-machine being sent from the future. Unlike many other eccentric guests, he didn't yell, cry, or act out. He stayed completely stone-faced the entire time, which made his story feel even more surreal. He explained that he had been programmed to a mission as a cyborg assassin. According to him, his human side had certain memories, but his mechanical side gave him abilities beyond normal humans. He seemed fully convinced of his own story and insisted that he was on Earth for a specific purpose that only he could complete. The audience was both fascinated and confused. People whispered to each other, unsure whether to laugh, be concerned, or just stare in disbelief. Dr. Phil tried to understand him and gently questioned his beliefs, asking if he had proof or how he knew he was a cyborg. The man calmly continued to explain his mission and his identity as a cyborg. His seriousness made it clear that in his mind there was no doubt about who or what he was. This episode quickly gained attention online because of how unusual it was. Clips of the man went viral, with viewers both amazed and entertained. Memes and jokes spread across social media, often highlighting his deadpan expression and the sheer strangeness of his story. He became one of those Dr. Phil guests people could not forget, even years after the episode aired. The man who believed he was a cyborg is a perfect example of the kind of extreme and unforgettable guests that appear on Dr. Phil. His calm confidence and unusual claims made for one of the most surreal episodes in the show's history. One person said, "My mother would have told me to go back to 2050 and grab some rent money. Don't come back here without it." Another wrote saying, "I'm an African and now I'm convinced that American weed is too strong." While this dude thought he was from the future, another team believed she was related to a rap legend. One of the most memorable and unusual guests on Dr. Phil was a teenage girl who claimed she was Eminem's daughter. She came on the show full of confidence, insisting that her mother had been lying to her all along and that she was the real child of the famous rapper. And from the moment she started talking, it was clear she was living in her own world, completely convinced that her story was true. During the interview, she refused to accept any evidence that contradicted her belief. DNA tests were offered to prove whether or not she was related to Eminem, but she ignored them completely. Logic, science, and common sense didn't matter to her. She was determined to stick with her fantasy. She spoke with certainty, claiming that she and Eminem shared a special connection and that nothing could break it. Her intensity and refusal to listen to anyone else made her both fascinating and frustrating to watch. Dr. Phil tried reasoning with her, explaining that celebrity children are well documented and that there was no evidence supporting her claims. He reminded her that DNA tests could provide a definitive answer, but she refused to participate. Her refusal to face reality made the situation surreal, and viewers couldn't help but be amazed by her conviction. As with many strange and extreme guests, her episode quickly went viral online. Clips of her insisting she was Eminem's daughter were shared on social media, often with funny captions and memes. People found it shocking, amusing, and a little sad all at once. Her unwavering belief, even in the face of clear evidence, made her a perfect example of a Dr. Phil guest who seemed completely disconnected from reality. The story of the teen who said she was Eminem's daughter shows how imagination and obsession can sometimes take over someone's life. Even years later, her episode is still remembered as one of the show's most bizarre moments. Viewers' reactions to her were funny. One person wrote, "I would pay a lot of money to see Eminem's reaction to this." Another said, "This is honestly not even a joke, this girl needs help, like seriously." DNA tests couldn't convince this lady, but our next guest had an even bigger identity crisis. One of the most unforgettable guests on Dr. Phil was a man named Joshua, who fully believed he was Jesus Christ. From the moment he appeared on the show, it was clear that he wasn't just joking or exaggerating, he was completely convinced of his own divinity. He spoke calm and confidently about being the Son of God and about having a special mission on Earth. His certainty made his appearance both fascinating and unsettling to watch. Joshua explained that he had been sent to guide people, teach them, and save them, just like Jesus in the Bible. He described his mission in great detail, talking about how he could see the future, help people find their purpose, and deliver spiritual guidance. He didn't ask for money or fame, he simply insisted that he had a sacred responsibility. The audience and Dr. Phil were both shocked and intrigued. It was hard to know whether to take him seriously, feel concern for him, or just be amazed at the intensity of his belief. What made Joshua's appearance so striking was his unwavering confidence. He didn't act erratic or aggressive, as some other extreme guests do. Instead, he remained calm, polite, and utterly convinced that he was divine. This made the situation feel surreal. He seemed to live in a world where the ordinary rules of reality didn't apply. His grandiose claims, combined with his seriousness, made him a classic example of a religious delusion, where someone genuinely believes they are a higher being. As expected, Joshua's episode quickly drew attention online. Clips of him speaking with full conviction were shared widely, with people both fascinated and entertained by his story. Memes and discussions about his claims appeared on social media, cementing his status as one of the most memorable Dr. Phil guests. Joshua's story is both strange and thought-provoking. It shows how belief, identity, and mental health can intersect in unusual ways. Watching him speak, it's clear he genuinely believed in his mission, even if reality told a very different story. His appearance reminds viewers that daytime television can capture moments that are both shocking and compelling. One person said, "I'm not even a Christian and this man's behavior deeply offends me." Another wrote, "The word says false prophets will go into the world claiming they are Jesus, but do not believe them. When this guy speaks, you can hear the anger in his voice. Either something happened to him along the way when he was in the army, or he is on drugs or was on drugs that completely distorted his sense of reality, logic, and reason." Religious delusions are one thing, but this teenager's racial confusion left everyone speechless. One of the most unusual guests on Dr. Phil was a 16-year-old girl named Treasure Richards. She surprised everyone by saying she was not black, even though she was clearly African American. Treasure insisted that she was white and even said she didn't like black people. From the moment she appeared on the show, it was clear that this was going to be a very unusual episode. Treasure called black people ghetto, ugly, and dangerous, and she refused to be associated with black culture. She compared herself to celebrities like Kim Kardashian and said she was more like them than anyone in her own family. Her mother, Monique, and her brother, Kendall, appeared on the show with her and tried to explain her strange behavior. They said they were worried about Treasure and didn't understand why she was acting this way. While viewers were shocked by Treasure's words, there was a twist later. Her older sister, Nina Richards, revealed that the whole story was actually made up. Treasure and their mother had fabricated the story to get attention and even a free trip to Los Angeles. Nina explained that Treasure had been involved in different disruptive behaviors, like dropping out of school and being in trouble with authorities. She also criticized the show for using their family's story to get more ratings. Even though it turned out to be a hoax, the episode sparked a lot of discussion. People talked about identity, race, and how the media can sometimes exaggerate personal stories for entertainment. Some viewers were disturbed by Treasure's comments, while others questioned whether it was right for the show to make such a dramatic story out of family problems. Treasure's appearance is still remembered today because it was so strange and shocking. Even years later, people talk about the teen who said she was white, not black. The episode shows how television can take unusual stories and make them a big deal, whether they are real or not. One person said, "She's an incredible troll and a great actress. They need to give her a role on a Netflix show." Another wrote, "I screamed when this girl said African Americans don't have feelings because they aren't people. I just wouldn't want to deal with her if that was my daughter." Finally, meet the man whose mirror obsession and wild behavior shocked his own family. Sexy Vegan, born Hansel de Bartolo III, quickly became one of the most outrageous guests in Dr. Phil history. Known for strutting down Hollywood Boulevard in a Speedo while carrying a full-length mirror, he proudly called himself the best-looking person on the planet and the greatest dancer alive. With his bleached hair, body tattoos, and wild confidence, Sexy Vegan was hard to ignore and impossible to forget. His sister brought him on Dr. Phil out of serious concern. She said his behavior had become more extreme and that he'd been arrested 15 times. She was worried not just about his safety, but also about the way he treated their family. She claimed he was unpredictable, aggressive, and needed help. When Sexy Vegan appeared on the show, he made an entrance unlike any other, strutting onto the stage, posing in his signature blue Speedo, and immediately causing chaos. He talked over Dr. Phil, refused to answer questions, and instead bragged about his appearance and celebrity status. He even shouted his name repeatedly as if he were performing for a crowd. Dr. Phil tried to reason with him, asking if he could see how his actions were affecting his family, but Sexy Vegan wouldn't stop. He danced, flexed, and eventually had to be removed from the stage for refusing to cooperate. Viewers were stunned by his lack of self-awareness and over-the-top behavior. While some saw him as a joke, others saw someone clearly struggling. Behind the flashy persona, there were signs of deeper issues. Sexy Vegan's appearance on the show became viral, but it also raised serious questions about mental health and the line between confidence and delusion. His story showed that sometimes what looks like a joke is actually a cry for help. From viral catchphrases to wild delusions, these Dr. Phil guests proved that reality TV can be stranger than fiction. Which guest shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable stories.